Legacy. What is legacy? It's like what is left behind. And some people will think, oh, you're talking about legacy code or something like that, something that somebody wrote before you. Not your code, of course, because your code is never going to be legacy code unless you leave the company. Or maybe it's something else that you left behind. Litter, stuff that you leave behind, or even your parents left behind generations ago and that we have to fix. Very inconvenient. Or something else being a legacy is when death steps in. But when death steps in, people have died a long time ago and people left behind great inventions like Leonardo da Vinci, for example. That's great. Other people died decades ago and they gave us a legacy called freedom. And I'm very happy that people gave their lives for that specific reason. And some people are still alive and left behind a great legacy. And well, stuff happened a few years ago and we still have Camellia when Perl 6 and Raku went on. Other people, I would say, and I'm getting more inconvenient now, have lost friends, loved ones. And it's going to be very complicated, I think. And some people will still have the pain of it, and some people will have good memories. And I would say that this year, a couple of months ago, we lost a very, very dear friend, Abe Timmerman. I think he has done a very great job for the Perl community in the Netherlands specifically, but also in the broader things like running Seep and Smoker stuff and being part of the, what is called, I now lost here, I'm nervous, the Perl Porters, sorry? The tool chain, yeah, the tool chain. So the very inconvenient part for this conference is I will give 1 minute away of my 5 minutes, and I would say in reference to Abe, I would have a minute of silence. And maybe you think of your own friends and beloved ones. But after it, what will be next? And I'm happy to hear that people pick up their duties. People pick up smoking instead of Abe. That's great. And I've been to the funeral of Abe. Some people from the Netherlands that are here have been to the funeral, and we had amazing conversations in respect to the life that we had together with Abe. We had wonderful drinks. Abe would always have drinks. You would find Abe always with beers. That's the good thing about him. And many other things. And one thing that we had there was a great sentiment. And if you know the Dutch Perl community a little bit, there has been gone things awkward in the past. But during the drinks, during that meeting, there was a great sentiment, and friends of him, colleagues of him, family of him, Perl community people of him were thinking that we should pick up again. And I think on behalf of the family and great friends and people here, the Dutch people here, I would say it's going to be time to organize a new Perl event in the Netherlands, a Perl Raku event. The date on this one is mocked, it's 2025. The plan was to do it in May, but then I heard that the German Perl workshop is going to be in May, so maybe we're going to swap. At least I hope you want to be in touch with us. I would say if you have any questions, then please ask them, or otherwise I'd like to have answers from you. I need to have some help, and I would say, in memory of Abe, thank you very much.
Right, I'll start then. Sudden substitution. So I'm going to talk about. Oh, are we on? Are we up? Okay, okay. So I'm going to talk about app sdview. This is a structured document viewer. What do I mean by that? A structured document, something like, oh, hang on, why can I not see my slide? Never mind. Something like pod or Markdown. Man pages, sort of. NROF is in fact a virtual machine that just runs arbitrary code that might output stuff on the page, so actually interpreting that is an absolute pain, so I don't bother. But most man pages I managed to handle. What do I mean by a viewer? It's a thing that runs in the terminal. It has colors and formatting and stuff. It's really exciting. It's newer than 1987. Yeah, mouse menus, everything. I'll show you that in a moment. It can also output files directly, so it can output in Markdown, Pod, and NROF, and whatever. Optionally HTML, because apparently HTML is a thing. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. So, quick little comparison. Here's what man Perl run looks like. I'm sure you've all seen it. And here's what it looks like in sdview. Look at that, colors, and formatting. Look, I actually understand italics. Italics was invented in about 1992 in terminals, and I actually support them. Look at that, it's wonderful. Those little blue underlined things, do you know what those are? Those are hyperlinks. Click them in the terminal. You can click them in some terminals. Ironically, not mine. I haven't implemented OSC 8 yet. Never mind. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be. Another example, here's get up long. There we are. And that's what it looks like in man. This is what it looks like in sdview. Look at that, colors. Look at that alt font with the background. You can see the code examples. I'll actually get slightly better, because if you pass, oh no, hang on, not yet. Wrong example. It can read files directly, so there we are. It can just pull pod straight out of a .pm file. It can also read a Markdown file. That's it on a Markdown file. That's one of the PPC documents straight out of the PPC archive. It just kind of works. So if you want a terminal viewer of Markdown files, just use sdview. Oh, and it does syntax highlighting, by the way. So there we are, colors in the Perl code, colors in, well, the Perl code down there. It's all driven by, well, the highlighting is all driven by tree sitter and text tree sitter, which is a whole big subject I'm not going to talk about now. It also supports other languages like Perl and C and HTML and Shell and some other languages that begin with P. There are 302 different languages that NeoVim knows about, so kind of any of these will be supported. For example, there's some C, which just kind of works. That, again, is just straight out of Markdown. We can output to other file formats, as I said. So you can output to Markdown. That's its own man page straight out to Markdown. It can do HTML. It doesn't wrap it with a body or a header or anything, because it's more of an HTML fragment that you might want to include in an HTML page. So it quite intentionally doesn't put the body around it. And now I want to show you some slightly fancy features. So I'm going to have to run this and hope that I picked the size right. Look at that, that's wonderful. sdview. This is very, very awkward because I have to type while staring up there. So here we are. We can scroll down and up, and by pressing the square brackets, for example, we jump directly between the headings. Oh, and if I press F9, which is there, I've got a little menu of all the headings, and I can jump directly to them. Oh, and if I want to search, for example, for Perl, it finds there's the Perls. Oh, and if I want it to be case-specific, I can press Alt-I, and then it becomes case-insensitive or not, or I can do whole words or not. And I think that might have been it. I can't remember anything else too fancy that it does. Yeah, as I said, I don't actually support OSC 8 yet in Pango terms. So if you have a terminal that's not my terminal, you might actually be able to click the links, but actually it doesn't work in here.
Okay, next what I want is that it recognizes Perl and uses my Perl tidy preferences, so I can
Ooh, that'd be tough.
I quite like black text on white, please.
Well, that's just up to your toe. Oh yeah, you can choose the colors. It's just a config file. That's just my defaults. But anyway, there it is. It's on CPAN. You can install it. There's also text tree sitter, and there's tree sitter Perl, which is a wonderful fun subject in its own right. And I don't have time to talk about that. And that's oh yeah, bonus extra slide. By the way, do you like tables in Pod? Yeah, we do those. Do you like MediaWiki tables? We do those as well. So if you want tables in Pod, there you can have them. And that's it.
Okay, I'm Chip, and I will present a talk which is called This Is A Camel. It's a short talk, and be nice, it's a bit absurd one. So, this is definitely a camel. This is our Perl camel. I think most of you know well the design. But sadly, this is legally not our camel. That's a fact. This is camel, the color. And this is an UTF-8 camel with the code point. This is a reverse camel. Sorry for that. And this is a drone camel, brought to you courtesy of neighbors. This is a Minecraft camel. I don't know if you have any player of Minecraft in the room. And this is O camel. And please note that they choose the animal as a logo. This is camels. And this is also camels. But still, I recommend Perl programming over smoking. This is a camel with a camel. This is the anatomy of a camel. And since we are in London, please note how they use a maximum space for beer storage. This is camel case, most of programmers should know. And the case of camels. So with this slide, you can rate my very poor skills of Photoshop. This is a camelback, the best companion of runners or hikers. And this is also a camelback. This is a camel black. And I think you guessed the next one. This is white camels. And I think we have few of them in the room. This is a panel, and this is cPanel. Maybe we have some folks from cPanel, no? This is cannelle, which is the French word for cinnamon, and not the color is still a camel color, almost. This is caramel, and I have to admit, it's delicious. This is camellia. Hello, Raku. Und das ist ein Camel, yeah? I think we have some Germans. Sorry for this very strange presentation. Thank you, and long live to Perl.
Hello, my name is Dimitrios. It's a very common name in Greece. So today, incidentally, is Dimitri Day in Greece. But since we're not there, you don't have to wish me anything, and I don't have to buy you dinner. I work for Spareroom. It's for the UK people, you might know it. It's a famous room and roommate finding service, and it's a Perl company. So they're sending us to Perl conferences, and they're even sponsoring this year. And I will talk about Perl, like weather with Perl. So why the interest in weather? For me, at least, I moved to England. And I'm interested in astronomy and astrophotography, which is made complicated by moving to England. And forecasting is a quite interesting computational problem. So there are lots of models around, and most of them give you their data. The most famous model is NOAA's GFS, and yeah, it's a forecast that runs like simulates a globe. It uses a hydrostatic model. That means it uses pressure instead of altitude, which means it's less sensitive to terrain changes than some other models. But the advantage is that it's completely free to access. They give you all their data in grid binary format, which is useful if you're a meteorologist. Otherwise, you need like a third-party service that provides you a nicer API to use. 7Timer is one such API. If you use Home Assistant, there's a plugin, so you might know it if you have weather on your Home Assistant. And why it interests me particularly is it adds astronomical seeing and transparency to the GFS data, so it's useful for astronomers. And the backend is partly in Perl, and I'm helping maintain it. I also published a nice wrapper, so you can use it in Perl. It doesn't need an API key, so you just throw in the coordinates. It has different products, and the result is like a Perl data structure, like with a time series. And you can even ask for a PNG output. This is a request for the civil product, which looks a bit like this. The reason I use it, I maintain it, is because I also do an iOS app called Xasteria, which is a weather app mainly for astronomers. And if you should I point out that it can predict like thunderstorms? So I claim this is the most on-topic lightning talk for tonight. I don't know if there's a little award for something like that. Okay, sometimes they give awards for little things like that. Anyway, I released a plus version to fund moving servers from the Shanghai Astronomical Observatory to America, like private servers, because in Shanghai, they had to turn off the servers whenever there was a national holiday, which kind of like broke everybody else in the world. So there's competing, so there's a European equivalent to GFS. It's called ECMWF. It's European Center of Medium Range and Weather Forecast. And it has a high resolution because it uses a non-hydrostatic model, which takes into account altitude. But it's slower to run, so the full run is every 12 hours instead of 6, even though they have 30 petaflops versus 10 petaflops of the Americans. But only the subset of data is free, so it's a bit fewer places give it to you, give you the data. We used to get data from them using Dark Sky, which was a great API, but Apple bought them, and it's now Apple Weather. So it uses both ECMWF and GFS and adds some real-time radar for nowcasting. It's like a short-term forecast. If you use iOS, it's a Swift framework, but they also give you a REST API, and it just requires a developer key. And I have a module on cPann for that takes care of the JSON web tokens and everything for you. So there's instructions how to get the keys. It still gives you like a time series. I also released another module because I'm adding more to the app, so I need to make proxy servers for it. And this is Open Weather Map. It uses machine learning to process various sources, including both the models I referred to. It requires an API key, but they give you a free subscription level, so you can use that. And again, this has integrated geolocation, so you can request a location name, and it still returns a Perl hash with a time series. And finally, I should mention the Met Norway API. So it's a free location. They give you an API themselves, and it's high resolution for Norway, if you're interested in that. And I didn't have to release a module because there was one already that returns a weather forecast object instead. Yeah. That's it.
We have a lot of talks about today about taking over module maintenance, CVEs, and what more. DBI is top level. It's the database interface. It has a lot of access, and it had a problem in that there was a CVE fix which already lingered for over 2 years. It needed a release. DBI has 950 distributions on CPAN that depend on DBI. You can read the rest. The biggest one is Moose, with almost 3,000 direct dependencies. This is the release history. The first one was released in 1998 by Tim, and the last one was released in 2020. That is 4 years ago. And we needed a new release because of those CVE fixes. You also see 1, 2, 3, 4 releases that had over 150 commits in one release. If you look at the authors that cooperated with Tim, there's a lot of them and a lot of commits over time, which the periods. I have to, only 5 minutes, so I have to do it fast. I mailed Tim, I want to have a new release because there is a CVE fix and we depend on it. And he said, well, I don't have any time to commit to this, so you do it. I said, I'm willing to do it. His reply, I've transferred ownership to you. Okay. That was more than I bargained for. Need any help? Yeah, we had a lot of more mails between them, but yeah, I'm now the new owner, maintainer of DBI. But it's a team effort. I know a lot about DBI. I know a lot about the environment of the DBI. I use it on a daily basis. I've written at least 3 DBDs, so I know how it works. I maintain part of the DBI from history, DBD file specifically, but I don't know a lot about the XS internals. So one of the things we had to fix was something with a memory leak, and I asked Mauke to help there because I couldn't find it. So I need help. Since then, I first did a release with the fixes that gathered over the last 4.5 years. And then I had a second release because those fixes showed up new deficiencies as Perl also evolved and other things evolved. So I needed a new release because CPAN testers only picks up what is released. And if you commit to GitHub and you don't release, nothing is automatically tested. So new people tested and came up with things that were broken. What I won't do is code beautification, because most of you know that I have a different style. It's the only good style, but what I also won't do is API changes. I know how many people depend on it, the world needs it, and there is no alternative. So we need this. What I want people to help me with is improve on the documentation. We had 5 years back in testing. Please test this current state with new operating systems, new DBD versions, new database versions, and all those combinations evolved over the last 5 years. I want to reduce the bus factor. Currently, I'm the owner, and I have team members on GitHub, but I need more people that take voluntary responsibility on maintaining the DBI. We all depend on it, so help. And I also want to look at the open RT tickets. If someone is willing to move the RT tickets to GitHub, that would be a good start. And there's 23 GitHub issues. And that's it.
Hello. I just thought I'd take the opportunity at the end of the day to give you a bit of an update on what's going on with the Perl School brand. Now, some of you might not have heard of Perl School, some of you might have done. Originally, I started it as a training course. Back in 2011, 2012, we ran some cheap training at the weekend on Google Campus, which is half a mile or so in that direction, I think. Some of you may have come on some of those courses. But then in 2017, I reinvented it to publish ebooks. One day I'll tell the story of how I got paid twice for writing this book. So that was the first book that I published back in 2017. I soon realized that I needed other authors to get involved to avoid it looking like a vanity project. So John wrote a couple of books for me. And then if you know anything about the Perl book world, you'll realize what a good morning it is when you wake up to an email from Brian Foy saying, "Can I publish some books through your..." So Brian's written some books for me. I published another one. This was my lockdown project. So that all lives at perlschool.com. We sell books through Amazon Kindle, it's ebooks, and also on LeanPub. There's an interview I did with Brian again, on Perl.com, talking about the economics and the industry and why it's a good idea to be able to publish books through Perl School, through ebooks. So an update, what next? Well, I'm thinking ebooks haven't really taken off quite as much as I thought that they were going to, so maybe I'll take another look at publishing some of these as dead trees so that you can actually go and buy them. Maybe I'll publish your book. What do you fancy writing a book about? There's a Write For Us page on the website, so feel free to give that a read and get in touch. There's hello@Perl. Well, yeah, basically it boils down to email me or hello@perlschool.com. Now, I'm so happy with the way this is going that I thought I'd expand it a little bit beyond Perl only. So I have this new brand, Clapham Technical Press, that lives at claphamtechpress.com, publishing things that are wider than Perl. So I used that to publish my GitHub Actions book last year. I've worked with another chap. He's published 3 books through us. You can see it's not really just technical books, things about modern working world and stuff like that. I've even taken it as a reason to publish 2 children's books, which is really not me, but hey. So, what do you want to write about? Let me help you write something. Get in touch with me at hello@perlschool.com or hello@claphamtechpress.com. Oh, I had one more thing that I needed to mention. Now, it's been quite a while since Perl School published a new book. It was my Perl Hacks book back at the end of the pandemic. So I've been working on something. There's the 2nd edition of Data Munging with Perl. It's going to be available soon. In the Perl world, I think it's traditional to say it'll be out by Christmas. But I actually think it'll be sooner. I think you'll probably don't hold me to this, probably looking at 3 or 4 weeks. But because you're all such nice people and you've come to the LPW, if you go to this website and fill in the form on that page, then when it does get published, I will send you an email with a discount code so you'll be able to get the book more cheaply. Thank you for listening, and buy the books.
Hi, I'm Chris. So this is the story of how I came to replace Cron with Home Assistant and Perl, which is basically how I automated my home lab with the equivalent of a Tamagotchi. I don't know how many people know Home Assistant at all. Yep. But yes. So why did I do this? Well, I had multiple containers, all having scheduled jobs in it, and it was a bit of a pain to find, remember where I was running stuff, get to a command prompt, run things manually, and then some twisted inspiration struck, and I thought, well, hang on, I've got Home Assistant, right? I can use that. So how do I do that? Well, after I'd sort of picked myself up off the floor and got myself out of the fetal position, I knocked something up very, very quickly, sorry. So Home Assistant, for those that don't know, is the premier open source home automation platform implemented in the YAML programming language with a little bit of glue Python. Originally intended to automate smart devices, so why not use that also to do my stuff? In order to get this done, I used MQTT. I also have an MQTT server. It's a lightweight protocol for switching your lights on and off and various bits and pieces. Home Assistant integrates into it really, really quite well. You can subscribe to topics, can publish to topics, and that's kind of how this all fits together. So the solution was to write a little MQTT listener that can subscribe to a particular project, topic, and Home Assistant sends a particular message, which then the listener picks up on and runs a job. So let's see it in action. So this is stuff that is running. I simulate fails as well as running things on and off. Because it's Home Assistant, you can schedule your jobs down to the second, which is a very important feature. I think everyone will know who's found Cron a little bit lacking in that area. So you should never do this. It's a bit of a security hole. Anything can kind of sit on your network and listen to and subscribe to these messages. Home Assistant has a bit of a reputation for just breaking randomly. You either install an update and it breaks, or you don't install an update and it breaks. Your scheduled jobs will just stop when that happens, and there's really no way coming around that. It's introducing unnecessary complexity. Debugging it is not fun, and you're introducing another level of single points of failure, and other solutions, better solutions, frankly, exist. But I had Home Assistant, and it was easy. So it's really, really, despite its negatives, it's also got some good things about it. So you can dynamically run things. You don't need to redeploy your containers every time you want to update a schedule in your crons. And it's really, really lightweight and simple. And it also gives you better visibility into your tasks. You can monitor everything through Home Assistant's UI. You can check runtimes historically and various bits and pieces, and everything still hooks into Loki and Grafana if you're into all that too. You can adjust your schedules from your phone. And why not have your lights flicker when a job fails? It's great. So you should absolutely still use Cron or literally anything else. And despite this being a combination nobody asked for, it somehow works surprisingly well. And if you're already using Home Assistant and you're used to its quirks and you're running it on an isolated network and it fulfills the same need that I have, then maybe give it a whirl, but really don't. If you do want to use the code, it is on CPAN, you can install it. This is a very high-level kind of how you get it to run. You can run it so that it will output the YAML that you need to install it on Home Assistant. And you then just run the little job in the background on your server, and away you go. That's everything.